記得我要講先之後先打咗啊，
Hi.
英文版。
Hello, everyone. Let's just meditate for a minute or two. Wait for the other students to show up. I just remember to speak in English now. Hello, 你哋可以閂個鏡頭㗎喇吓，多謝。Hello, everyone. Welcome to monthly meditation. Just one second. Was that for me? There's an echo somewhere. It's okay now? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Welcome to another monthly meditation and Dharma sharing with Venerable De Hong. So we'll continue to talk about the Four Noble Truths, and now we're down to the last Noble Truth. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Venerable De Hong. Get going with the Dharma talk first.
All right, thank you. Greetings, everyone. Danny, I cannot share. Please, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Spring is already here. So I'll start with the Dharma talk first. So last month we spoke about the Third Noble Truth and the definition of Buddhist Psychology. And starting this month, we will be on the Fourth Noble Truth, which is the Eightfold Path. Now I decided to break this down to 3 months. For April, we'll be talking about wisdom, what wisdom is. And for May, we'll be talking about morality or moral compass. And June, we'll be talking about concentration or mental clarity. Just a quick review. Buddhist psychology is just basically the learning and application of the Buddha's teaching to alleviate our suffering with the help of the contemplative practices such as meditation or even chanting is considered a form of meditation. Okay. And the Third Noble Truth is basically the reminderless, the cessation, the renunciation, letting go of craving and clinging. And that is the Third Noble Truth. But how do you get there? And it's from understanding and practicing living according to the Eightfold Path. Here is an article. There is a link right there by Bhikkhu Bodhi. He has a way of also explaining the Eightfold Path, how to end suffering. You guys can, it's free on the internet. You guys can Google the Eightfold Path by Bhikkhu Bodhi. You can find it. It was written in 1999. But I decided to use Bhante Gunaratana's book, Eight Mindful Steps to Happiness. He goes into much more detail of what each step is and how to apply it. So basically, the the fourth noble truth or the eightfold path. So from now on, I will refer to the eightfold path. So just so that it's more, I guess, relevant or make it easier to understand. So basically, the Eightfold Path consists of three categories: wisdom, morality, and concentration. But recently, people have been using the term moral compass to to imply morality, and mental clarity to imply concentration. And these three, they go together. You need all three categories in order to end suffering. And there are 8 components in the Eightfold Path, right? The first two make up what we call wisdom, is right view and right intention. And Bhante Gunaratana use the term skillful understanding to mean right view, and skillful thinking to mean right intention. Then morality or moral compass consists of skillful speech, skillful actions, and skillful livelihood. And then lastly, concentration includes skillful effort, skillful mindfulness, and skillful concentration. Just a short introduction, even though there's several pages that long of the introduction. I just want to highlight some major items. One thing that everyone everywhere is looking for is what is happiness. We want that happiness, and we want that happiness to be longer, to go on, to continue. But it's in this world here, is basically impossible. So that's one point. The other point is that when we study the Buddha's teaching, understanding it, we need to put into practice. It's not like reading it for knowledge. That's useless. You can remember everything that the Buddha taught, but if you're not putting into practice, it's of no use. You or we continue to suffer, myself included. And the thing that we need to be aware is that instead of trying to control the world to make us happy, we need to recognize the things that cause us suffering, and work to reduce it. And the Buddha said, happiness, you want to get to the point where your happiness does not depend on conditions. Here, what is ordinary happiness? Or I think Bhante Gunaratana call it the trap of happiness. Ordinary happiness is like growing up, going to school, getting a college degree, perhaps for most, getting married, getting a house, make an honest living, and perhaps helping others. This sounds great, but in between that, and the things that we try to achieve, there are always obstacles, or that hindrances that cause us to fail. So all of these conditions depends on the environment, and also can be affected by unforeseen circumstances. So basically, what is the trap of unhappiness is that because of feeling, or when we come into contact with something and we feel good, we have a tendency to crave for it or cling to it. And because of that, we then it causes suffering. And we also have to be mindful of our desire and lust that can lead to attachment. And because of attachment, it creates possessiveness, like this is mine. And then, we become stingy, and we trying everything we could to protect it. And that, again, it causes suffering, conflicts. The higher sources of happiness is to seek for something beyond the worldly pleasure, getting a house, getting married, getting recognition, getting power. We need to get beyond that. Here, he said to drop all the worldly concern and seek solitude in a peaceful surrounding, including prayers and rituals. Besides, here, presuming, meditation. Work on. We need to try to practice generosity, which is a powerful form of renunciation. Is generosity doesn't just mean time. It means doesn't just mean money. It means give up your time or use your time to help people, or even to just listen. The other higher source of happiness is to let go, recognize your anger and how to let it go. Desire, jealousy, attachment, pride, and any other mental irritations or mental afflictions. And basically making use of the steps in the Eightfold Path, and also seeking to attain higher stages of enlightenment, basically jhana and beyond. So the gradual training or the practice and the living application of the Eightfold Path is basically consists of 3 stages, right? The first one is morality, or just know what ethics is. Basically here it consists of, right, skillful speech, skillful actions, and skillful livelihood. This help us to be able to distinguish between what is moral and immoral in terms of our thoughts, actions, and speech. And then because of morality, it is the foundation that gives rise to concentration, meaning that when we are being ethical, our mind does not have to battle or is not in conflict with anything that causes our mind to be restless, to be unstable. So because when we live a life with ethics, then our mind can be at peace, and that's how we can meditate better, or pray better, or chant better to get our mind settled. And from that, we are able to attain or achieve deeper states of concentration or jhana. And because of that, from morality and concentration, that's how wisdom develops, is that we are able to see things clearly. We're able to see through our lives clearly, and we are able to better understand all phenomena. And again, with the Eightfold Path, we intentionally, and we are responsible for our thoughts, our words, our deeds. And when we are being well disciplined, our life can be a source of happiness. And also here, he suggests a healthy and moderate diet also supports our spiritual practice. And basically, besides that, like, cultivate generosity, patience, faith, and other virtues. Because these are the sources of that leading to our spiritual awakening or enlightenment. So I will start with right view. Hopefully I can do this in 10 minutes. If not, we will continue in May. If you need the file, please let me know or let Danny know. Okay. So what is skillful understanding? I to be honest, I prefer to use the term right view. It makes more sense to me. So what is right view is to be able to understand karma, basically cause and effect. Everything that we think, whatever that we think, everything that we say and do carries karma, period. There's no around it. Unfortunately, karma has no physical form, but we are subject to everything that we have done. And it's almost like what is it? The Tina Turner used the example of I forgot. Like we are walking around the earth. What is pulling us down? Gravity. So like karma works like gravity. We just don't know it, or we are not. We know it, but we're just not aware of it, and we think that we could get away with it. That is karma. So our actions need to be motivated by loving kindness and compassion. Those are the cause of happiness. And to understand karma as well, right? There are two types of immediate results from our positive behaviors, which is internal, how we feel; external, how other people think of us or appreciate us and care for us. Those are the two immediate results from positive behaviors. So basically, there are what we call 10 unskillful actions or 10 unwholesome actions versus 10 wholesome actions. It's like killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. That's from our action. From our speech, there's lying, malicious words, harsh language, and useless talk or chattering. Those are from our speech. Those are 4 components. And then the 3 components in our mind is the covetousness, ill will, and wrong view, or the term that we tend to use. The 3 terms that we tend to use are anger, hatred, and hatred, greed, and ignorance. We need to be aware of that. And mindfulness meditation helps us to be aware of everything. And here he basically said, you are the author of your future. In every moment, you have the opportunity to change your thoughts, actions, and speech. And morality is the foundation of all spiritual progress. And so that's the first component, or the first major item in right view, is karma. The second one is understanding the Four Noble Truths. We have studied so far the first 3, right? But here he said, he referenced the Buddha's teaching. Basically, dissatisfaction with suffering can cause burden. We cause our own dissatisfaction by taking up this burden, and we can end our dissatisfaction by putting the burden down, and the path to tell us how to do it, which is basically the Eightfold Path. So the first noble truth, which we have covered, I'm not going to repeat a lot of this here. The first is basically suffering or dissatisfaction. Every experience you see in red here that I highlighted, every experience of life brings some degree of dissatisfaction or suffering to anyone not fully enlightened. When our mind is not enlightened, everything that we experience can cause some form of suffering or dissatisfaction. Here I list the 8 types of suffering that we talked about in the first noble truth back in January. And that we also need to be aware that everything is constantly changing and is out of our control. We try to control things that we cannot control, and that is the cause of our suffering. And also through mindfulness practice, we can see life is a mixture of pain and pleasure, and that is definitely that is a definite, and that applies to everyone. And understanding continuing understanding the second noble truth, right? The dissatisfaction. Be mindful of our desire, unwholesome desire. or sensual pleasure, because none of the sensual pleasures will last. They're constantly fleeting away. Again, we have this unwholesome desire because we are not able to see things clearly. To have that, we need to have wisdom, which is what we are talking about tonight. And then the last one is the one is understanding. The third noble truth is that our suffering, our dissatisfaction can end, by letting our detachment go, our craving, our clinging. We can transcend all negative states of mind and achieve enlightenment even in this lifetime, and work on how to free our mind from hatred, greed, and ignorance. And the fourth item in the understanding the Four Noble Truth is to understanding the Eightfold Path, and live your life according to the Eightfold Path. So that's the first. Just a quick review. Right view is understanding karma, basically the cause and result of everything that we do and say and think. That's the first. The second is to understanding the Four Noble Truths. On to the second item of wisdom is the right intention or skillful thinking. Oh, hold on. Going back to right view, just know that the right view is to understanding karma and Four Noble Truths. But as Buddhists, we need to be mindful of, let's say, of our attachment to political view. I have run into folks that, oh, I'm a conservative, I'm a liberal. The thing is, this is America. I mean, everyone has the right to be affiliated to a certain political view, but you need to be mindful that when you attach to it or cling to it and look down the folks of the other party, that causes suffering, and that is not part of the Buddha's teaching. Just be mindful that for us, for me in particular, I don't cling to any political idea. I just want to clarify that, and I just want to address that, just so that for folks who are not Buddhists, when they come to read the right view, just know that even clinging to a certain political idea or any other idea, secular idea, can cause suffering. Anyway, coming back to right intention or skillful thinking. What is it about is basically three things: letting go, practicing loving kindness, practicing compassion. Three items. Letting go basically is to recognize our clinging or craving and work on letting it go. Here, that also includes ideas, beliefs, opinions, right? Traditions, custom, things that can cause suffering. I would say, be aware of that and basically abandon them. And also practicing generosity. Letting go here also implies practicing generosity, right? Your wealth. Let's say you have $100,000. Let's say it's okay to give what, $10 or even $100 to donate to your favorite causes, charitable causes. That is practicing generosity. The way from the Buddhist perspective, the best way to give is to give without even recognition and expectation. That with that you have the most merits. I think we call that the paramita, Paramita. In Mahayana, we have the six paramitas. I think eventually we can get to that. So giving your time, that is generosity. Giving away money or things that, let's say, you may have a tendency to cling to it, attach to it. See if you're able to let go. And also giving or sharing the Dharma is also one of the highest forms of giving. But here, I had this in green. The highest form of material giving happens when we respond to others' needs at the risk of our own lives. The willingness to give ourselves excels all other gifts. I mean, here an example. Let's say, in all kinds of disasters, you see the first responders. They would go out and help save lives even at the risk of their lives. That is, according to the point here, is the highest form of giving. And also here, letting go means let go of people that we have a tendency to cling to, letting go of experience or belief. Because I think, as you all know, all relationships come and go no matter what, right? Even our parents, one day they will get old, they will pass away. We need to be able to recognize that reality, and that's what we call wisdom, and like know how to take care of them, know how to spend time with them, so that at the time of their deaths, we wouldn't have any regret. And that is, in a way, implies, how we know how to let go and not having to cling to them. The hardest is the subtle form is our body or even our belief. Especially our body, like it's not easy to let go. That is something that I hope you guys can take time to reflect on it and know what that means, and even talk about it, or like figure out how it's not to say, hey, it's just to be aware that one day this body is getting aging every day. One day this body is going to go out it's basically this body is going to go out the door, or we're going to kick the bucket. It's like, okay, how do you prepare for that last moment? That is what we call the subtle clinging that we're not able to deal with. But it's good, it's highly, highly important to recognize that and to be prepared. And also, right I'll skip this. So loving kindness, we will cover this eventually in future lectures. There's a book on that. But basically, loving kindness is our ability to send thoughts of goodwill to ourselves and others. Is to wish ourselves healthy and happy, as well as wishing other people healthy and happy. Is one way to counter our anger with practicing loving kindness. Since we are running out of time, this is the last slide. And so tonight we'll be meditating on how to practice loving kindness. Okay, so with that, I will end here and go on and continue with our meditation. So get yourself ready. Take your posture, whether you are sitting or lying down. And take some deep breaths. You can breathe in at the beginning through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. As you breathe in, your body may tense up a little bit because your body takes an amount of energy to fill your lungs and your body with air. But when you breathe out, it takes no effort, and that's how you can relax your body. So pay attention to that and see how you can relax to the best of your ability. Take as many deep breaths as you like. Once you are done, breathe normally. And allow your body to settle. Start with a smile. Notice how you feel when you smile and how that feeling gives rise to the physiological sensations in the body. And also know that the feeling, the sensations are quickly fading away. How you feel next depends on your mind, your body, or both. Notice the silence. But let's move on and do the sense door practice by first noticing your environment, the space around you, the room temperature. Then check in with your mind, see how busy it is, with thoughts or restless wandering around or both. Know that your mind, no matter what state it is, can affect your feeling, your emotion, your attitude, your mood, your perception, your view, and even your ability to think clearly. Then your sense of seeing, whether your eyes are open or closed, whether you're able to experience light or color, your sense of hearing. Know that you cannot turn off your hearing consciousness. Your sense of smell, your sense of taste. These four senses, as you're meditating, are at rest if you're not reacting to any of the triggers. Then your sense of touch in the body, simply being aware of any sensations or tension or tightness or physical pain that is constantly taking place and changing throughout your body. The sense door practice helps you to stay grounded and centered no matter where you are, so you don't easily get distracted or feel overwhelmed when you are being triggered. So let's ground your awareness in the breath and notice and do the sense door practice on your own for the next minute or so and see how you feel. Let's move on and do the breathing practice. Basically, cultivate concentration by paying attention to your breath. Concentration means that you are being aware of your breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. You give it 100% of your attention, ignoring thoughts in your mind, ignoring noise or sound in your background. See how long your mind can stay with the breath. When your mind wanders away or lost in thoughts, your concentration is gone. And when you recognize that, that's how mindfulness kicks in. It brings the mind back to the breath and continue your concentration. Even though you are focusing on the breath, you still are aware of thoughts that come and go. but you choose not to react to them. That is mindfulness. So stay with the breath. If your mind is restless, then you can repeat a mantra or a prayer, whatever that is, but ground your awareness in the breath. Meaning when your mind wanders away, you bring it back to the breath and continue your mantra or prayer. And that's how you cultivate concentration. And you choose to ignore thoughts and noise. The longer you're able to be with the breath, the stronger is your concentration, the deeper is your mindfulness or awareness. Every time your mind wanders away, bring it back. Be very, very patient. Try not to judge or blame yourself. Just be patient, be consistent to be with the breath, the in-breath, the out-breath. It helps to smile, to make it interesting for your mind to be with the breath. Smiling creates a pleasant feeling. It also gives you a sense of alertness that you're meditating. Let's move on and practice loving kindness. Loving kindness is your mental ability to wish yourself well and happy, as well as others. This is a mental training of the mind to counter anger. So as you are sitting, you can repeat some of the following phrases. May I be healthy. May I know how to take care of my physical health. May I be happy. May I find joy and happiness from within. May I let go of any anger, ill will, resentment, and hatred. May I be kind and loving to myself. Notice how you feel when you wish yourself healthy and happy. Free your mind from anger, ill will, resentment, and hatred. You can repeat one phrase or all of them to cultivate a sense of loving kindness for yourself. May I be healthy. May I know how to take care of my physical health. May I be happy. May I find joy and happiness from within. May I let go of anger, ill will, resentment, and hatred. May I be kind and loving to myself. Just keep repeating those phrases. Allow these phrases to become your new thoughts, new reminders to take care of your physical health and mental health. Allow the practice of loving kindness to become your new habit when you neglect to care for yourself, or when you noticed you constantly feel angry or agitated. Just continue to repeat these phrases for yourself in the next few minutes in silence. Let's check in with your mind, see how settled it is, perhaps that your mind is less wandering, less chattering. See how your mind can affect your feeling, your emotion, your perception, your view, your attitude, and your mood. Check in with your body and your posture. Notice the qualities of mindfulness, concentration, patience, and loving kindness that you just cultivated. Before I hand it over to Danny, I have very brief story to share. This morning I was at Lancaster State Prison. I was in a B yard, which is a maximum level for a security prison. And there were 5 gentlemen, who came to the chapel to meditate with me. And I was explaining what loving kindness is. And one of the guys, raised his hand and he said, is smoking marijuana considered loving kindness? And everyone broke down laughing. And I said, heck no, you can't. So because in the West, certain folks, they have a tendency to think that feeling good or meditating, right? And taking some kind of substance could alter their consciousness, but that's not what the Buddha meant. And in Buddhism, or for us, especially as monastic, we are not allowed. So that's all. Anyway, with that, I hand it over to Danny.
Well, that's good to know. So I was thinking, I like the way you separate the Eightfold Path into the 3 categories. That slide where you have the 3 interconnecting sphere. I used to go to a Protestant school, so I was brought up studying the Bible, and so of course nowadays I don't have the time anymore. So instead, I would study the Bible using Google. Whenever I have a question, I would say, well, what does the Bible have to say about that? So I typed it in and I say, okay, well, that's a good way. And so that's a very selective way of studying the Bible. But recently, actually not recently, but for a while, at the end of the practice, Saturday practice, or even at the nightly, evening practice, I would say to the student, let us all be blessed with health, happiness, and peace. So the other day, I decided that I wanted to find out what the Bible have to say about peace. And so I searched and said, what does the Bible have to say about peace? And it turns out that there's a very famous verse in one of the book, and it says, may you be with peace, and may peace be with you, and may peace be within you. So then, when I was looking at the way you were describing the Eightfold Path, where you separate the morality, or sometimes in the West we don't like to use the word morality, but let's say principle. And then the other part where is the concentration, which is really the practice. I'm thinking of that part of the Bible, which is peace would be with you and peace be within you. Because if you look at the morality, the principle part, it talks about speech, action, and livelihood. So a lot of our suffering, a lot of disappointment in life has to do with the people around us. And sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're workers, sometimes they're family. They tend to be very toxic because of the action, of the speech, and of the livelihood. And so in a way, that part of the practice is allow you to be with peace. If you practice the right speech, the right action, the right livelihood, then you yourself would not be a toxic person, and over time you would avoid the toxic people, or that the toxic people would avoid you. So we talk about, for example, attachment. I see more people attached to suffering than they are to attach to enjoy, to happiness.
Yeah.
People actually are attached to suffering. They like to get together and bitch. So excuse my language, and complain and be negative. They're attached to that because they themselves are toxic, and so therefore they're surrounded with toxic people.
Correct. Because when they let that go, they wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
nothing to
in
complain
the
about.
in the prison is like that, right?
Yeah.
And the violence and the fear and is the survival language. So I think you can look at the Eightfold Path and just look at the part where we talk about the morality or / principle, which is the way you conduct yourself as a way of attaining peace be with you. And then whereas the concentration part, which is really the practice, which is mindfulness, I use the word anchor. Anchor your mind on your breath, anchor your mind on your body, anchor your mind. There are so many different ways that you can anchor your mind, and that's really what mindfulness is. And so that way, you're starting to a path of really understanding, examining your own emotion.
Correct.
Right? And then the right effort is when you actually start to understand your thoughts, and you understand that some thoughts are wholesome, they're good for you, they're skillful, they're kusala, and some thoughts are not good for you. The hatred, the jealousy, and all that, they're not good for you. They're not good for anyone. Whereas the compassion, the loving kindness, the empathy, they're good for you and everyone else, right? So once you anchor your mind, you calm yourself, you're able to examine, you develop an ability to use your body and your breath as a intelligence into your mind, then you can practice the right effort, and then ultimately get to the right samadhi, which is what we call the concept. So that's peace. Peace be within you.
Yeah.
Whereas so I like that. I like that very much. Okay, so we shall continue. So next week, not next week. No, I don't mean next week. I mean next month. We're going to continue on the Eightfold Path. Correct?
Yeah. May 7th.
So let's see some comments in front of me. Elma says, "What a brilliant talk and meditation."
Thank you.
I think she liked it. Tea Lady says, "And I love how you asked us to smile during the meditation. Give me a very nice feeling and different perspective." Yeah.
Good, thank you. Inside the prison, people don't smile, but I said, smile because the one thing that people cannot take away from you is your smile. And smile is actually a fabrication, but it's a good natural way of feeling good from within. It also gives you a sense of alertness. So I keep telling people, smile. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't hurt anyone. Yeah.
It helps with everybody to do the same
Correct.
thing. So in the prison environment, if one person laughs and the others don't, he might get beat up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn off the outside first.
Thank you.